Okay, y'all, we back again, getting ready to add to this lineage of the priesthood, the firstborn sons. We're going to continue with that. Now, this class is going to be a little long. I'm going to try to make it short as possible, but I'm going to get through this because out of all this book, uh, man, this has to be one of the most important topics in this whole book. And once you understand this will help to open up your mind, and it's going to help you with salvation. I mean, it's going to be a big plus. Plus, on top of that, when you get to Paul's writing, it's going to really, really help you with that. I know I say that a lot, but that's very important because so many of us before, in this walk, some of us never went to a church, and a lot of us did, especially the older people. And it's so many things that we had to relearn. And for you young people that's just, coming into this thing, it's a lot easier for you because you don't have so many things that you got to try to wash out of your mind. But a lot of us old sheep, it's tough because we have so many different doctrines and strongholds that we have to let go of. And it's not easy for everybody. Some people don't make it. Some people hold fast to what they believe in and then they don't want to know anything. But for those that I feel like was chosen from the foundation of the world, sooner or later, you're going to look into this thing. Sooner or later, because you're not going to be able to help it. It's going to irritate you. It's going to bother you. It's going to, you already had a lot of questions. And so, you start to, just question why you going to church like that. And I mean, it's just a lot of things. I mean, I can't explain it for everybody. I know how it was for me. But I know if you chosen from the foundation of the world, sooner or later, you're going to seek this thing out. You're not going to be able to help it because the Spirit will not let you alone. So with that, let's go ahead and open up. Father, help me with this as usual. I always ask that He give me the right things to say. And so we're going to open up with Psalms 135. It says, praise ye Yahuwah. Praise you the name of Yahuwah. Praise him, O you servants of Yahuwah. You that stand in the house of Yahuwah, in the courts of the house of our Elohim. Praise Yahuwah. For Yahuwah is good. Sing praises unto his name, for it is pleasant. For Yahuwah has chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his peculiar treasure. For I know that Yahuwah is great, that sovereign is above all Elohims. Whatsoever Yahuwah pleased, that did he in heaven and in earth, in the seas and in all the deep places. He causes the vapors to ascend from the earth, ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings for the rain. He bringeth the wind out of his treasury. Who smote the firstborn of Egypt, both of man and beast? Who sent tokens and wonders into the midst of thee, O Egypt, upon Pharaoh and upon all his servants? Who smote great nations and slew mighty kings? Sion, king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan, and all the kingdoms of Canaan, and gave their land for a heritage unto Israel, his people. Thy name, O Yahuwah, endure forever, and thy memorial, O Yahuwah, throughout all generations. For Yahuwah will judge his people, and he will repent himself concerning his servants. The idols of the heathen are silver and gold, the work of man's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Neither is there any breath in their mouth. They that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth in them. Bless Yahuwah, O house of Israel. Bless Yahuwah, O house of Aaron. Bless Yahuwah, O house of Levi. Ye that fear Yahuwah, bless Yahuwah. Blessed be Yahuwah out of Zion, which dwelleth at Jerusalem. Praise ye Yahuwah. And again, our scripture reading came from Psalms 135, verse 1 through 21. Ab Yahuwah, we come before you as always, Father, asking for mercy, thanking you for your kindness. Father, as we get ready to do this class, Father, I just ask that you give me everything that I need. You just work with me, Father, in my mind so that my words are clear and so that I just give this is the best class I want to ever give in my life, because I know there's so many people depending on this. And those that have a lot of questions, Father, I hope that what you've given me through the Ruach to give to them is something that's going to help them love you more, trust you more, and want to walk with you, Father, in your perfect will. So I pray this prayer, Father. Please hear me. Forgive me for my iniquity, my transgression, and my sin, Father. Please forgive me. Strengthen me, Father, so I can walk better and talk better and act better, no matter where I am, whether I'm in the light or in the dark. For only you know all things, Father. For only you see all things. And for only you hear all our words. So again, Father, I thank you for your kindness. I thank you for your love gift, Yahushua HaMashiach. And I thank you for the gift of the Ruach, HaKodesh, the set apart one. And I ask that you hear this prayer, Father. Please remember me, and please remember everyone that comes up here to hear this class. And I ask these things in Yahushua's name. Hallelujah. All right, let's go ahead and get started, y'all. Let's get started on this thing. Now, as you know, we've been going through this series about the firstborn, trying to show you before the Levites were activated, that you had young men out of each tribe that were actually doing the burnt offerings, or what is called the peace offering to Yahuwah, friendship offering for thanks. And we know as Israel sinned and then they committed adultery, the Levites was activated, but the Levites was going to be activated anyway, but not in this capacity, because sin changed everything, and sin does change everything. It's just that simple. So let's go to Exodus chapter 29. Let's look at this. Yeah, sin changes a whole lot of things, man. Sin causes death. Sin changes lives in ways that, it's not worth it. And we got to try to fight as much as we can to do the will of the Father. Exodus chapter 29, verse 28 through 37. And the book says, "And it shall be Aaron and his sons by a statute forever from the children of Israel, for it is an heave offering, and it shall be an heave offering from the children of Israel of the sacrifice of their peace offering, even their heave offering unto Yahuwah. And the holy garments of Aaron shall be his sons after him, to be anointed therein and to be consecrated in them. And that son that is priest in his stead shall put them on 7 days when he cometh into the tabernacle of the congregation to minister in the holy place. And thou shalt take the ram of the consecration and seethe his flesh in the holy place. And Aaron and his son shall eat the flesh of the ram and the bread that is in the basket by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation." We're going to get to that. "And they shall eat those things wherein the atonement was made to consecrate and to sanctify them. For the stranger shall not eat thereof, because they are holy." And when he's saying stranger here, he's just not talking about those that are not Israel. You're not a Levite, you're not supposed to be touching this, right? "And if aught of the flesh of the consecration or of the bread remain until the morning, then thou shalt burn the remainder with fire. It shall not be eaten, because it is holy. And thus shalt thou do unto Aaron and his sons according to all the things which I have commanded thee. 7 days shalt thou consecrate them. Thou shalt offer every day a bullock for a sin offering, for atonement, and thou shalt cleanse the altar when thou hast made an atonement for it, and thou shalt anoint it to sanctify it." Now, all of a sudden, it's the first time we started hearing about a bull for sin offering, right? 7 days thou shalt make an atonement for the altar and sanctify it, and it shall be an altar most holy. Whatsoever touches the altar shall be holy. Now, this is that which thou shalt offer upon the altar. 2 lambs of the first year, day by day, continue. So this is what he showed us 2 different type of offerings here. But then notice the last one, you had the bull and you had the morning and evening oblation with the morning and evening offering, right, of the 2 lambs. All right, but it said it's a statute forever. So this is kind of when when he started, because he steady moving them closer to everything, because you're not going to see the actual breach of the golden calf until chapter 32. See, so Yahoo and all his infinite, his infinite knowledge, his infinite, wisdom, he sees things afar off. Plus, and when we start reading the book of Exodus, we start to see it's a pattern with these people. They believe, but they don't really believe because they don't really trust Yahweh Elohim. And then you see them doing different things, and then they murmuring and all these, nothing is too good for them. They want to go back to Egypt and all these type of things. So this is, you can kind of see that it's almost kind of like, you can kind of see that they was gonna mess up. Now let's go look at Leviticus chapter 2. I want to get so you can get the understanding of what their job was going to be. Go to Leviticus chapter 2, and we're going to look at something here. These going to be some real quick little hits. Leviticus chapter 2, and we're going to read verse 8 and 13. And this is dealing with the meat offering. Now, the meat offering, it sounds like, it's dealing with meat, but it's actually dealing with flour, right? Kind of like what you could call a poor man's offering if he didn't have like a goat or a lamb or something like that, or a bull, right? So let's look at verse 8. And thou shalt bring the meat offering that is made of these things unto Yahuwah. And when it is presented unto the priest, he shall bring it unto the altar. All right, and let's jump down to verse 13. And every oblation of thy meat offering shall thou season with salt, because salt represents friendship, right? And just like the Mashiach told us, if the salt loses its savor, what's it good for, right? And that's dealing with us too right now, because we're supposed to be offering ourselves as a daily sacrifice. So when we do our good works, then we in other words, what we do is salt ourselves, because we're continuing in the Father's will, and we're showing that we're his friends. Neither shalt thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy Elohim to be lacking from the meat offering. With all thine offering, thou shalt offer salt. So every day before we get down to pray, we're supposed to make sure we hopefully we doing the right thing. And see, it's a law. So that's what it's telling you, that this is the law of the meat offering. So here we start to see that these commandments, that this is a law, right? Let's go look at the burnt offering, to burn all the house. It's supposed to burn all night. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 6. Leviticus chapter 6, verse 8 through 9. And Yahweh was speaking to Moses, saying, command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the burnt offering. It is the burnt offering because of the burning upon the altar all night until the morning, and the fire of the altar shall be burning in it. Right? Now, let's go down to verse 25. And it's in the book says, speak it to Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the sin offering. In the place where the burnt offering is killed, shall the sin offering be killed before Yahuwah. It is most holy. So we see that these different type of offerings, he is calling them a law. See? So again, because we steady pointing out that there's different laws. When we start talking about laws in this book, we have to be specific. You know what I'm saying? We have to know. And then this thing with these offerings, don't stress it, because after we get done with this series, we're coming back with the series on offering. Then the last part of this priestly series is going to be on the different temples and everything that went along with it. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 7 now, verse 1, 7, and 11. Likewise, this is the law of the trespass offering. It is most holy, right? Verse 7. As the sin offering is, so is the trespass offering. There is one law for them. The priest that maketh atonement wherewith shall have it. Now, and this is the law of the sacrifice of the peace offering, which he shall offer unto Yahweh. So it's different offerings, right? But they all are laws. And again, spiritually, our lives should be the burnt offerings to Yahweh, right? Because Romans 12 and 1 is going to tell us that. Let's go look at that real quick. And this is what he's saying. Paul saying in Romans 12 and 1, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, right, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, like we saw all these were holy, acceptable unto Elohim, because we can't have spot or blemish, which is your reasonable service, right? And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove, right? Because renewing is just, it means ongoing service. What is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim? Just that simple, right? This is what we're looking for. This is what we're supposed to be striving for. Every day we should be getting better. Every day we should be, our thoughts should be getting cleansed. And that's a hard one right there for me. I don't know about you, but it's always a fight. But you know, it's something that can be done, right? Because the Mashiach came and showed us how to do it. All right. Let's go. Now let's look at this. Hebrews chapter 7 and 5. And verily, we up here, they that are the sons of Levi who receive the office of the priesthood have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law. That is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. Right? So let's go to Hebrews 7 and 5. Let's look at something because we're looking, let's look at that again. That's what Paul's saying in the book of Hebrews. Let's see. Let's look at that again. And verily, they are the sons of Levi who receive the office of the priesthood, right? So the office of the priesthood, right? G 24:07. Now let's go over here to Genesis, Exodus now, all right? Exodus 28:41 says, and shall put them on Aaron and your brother and his sons with him. And you shall anoint them and ordain them and consecrate them, that they may serve me as priests. So this goes together. But see, in Hebrews, that's one of the best books when you want to start dealing with the priesthood. You understand what I'm saying? It goes through a whole lot of this, but you can see that's why I kind of parallel it for you. Hebrews 7 and 11. If therefore perfection were to be through the priesthood of Levi, by which the law has been put upon the people. So we see here that this law, right, if through the priesthood, we just looked at these different laws, right? If there was perfection in them, what do you mean perfection? Okay, perfection here means to add what is wanting in order to render a thing full, to complete, fulfill, prophecy, to complete a goal. Or I could have said, added on to that, to make perfect, right? Which we know by now, if you've been following our classes, means to be mature in the spirit. So if therefore being mature in the spirit were through, in other words, if you could be mature in the spirit, were to be through the priesthood of Levi, by which the law has been put upon the people. Why was there another priest required? Who should arise in the resemblance of the Melchizedek? For he said, in the likeness of Aharon he shall be. Now, over here, this is what Paul is saying. Wherefore then service the law. It was added because of transgression, till the seed should come to whom the promise was made, and it was ordained by messengers in the hand of a mediator. So this is what he's trying to show you. See, This was added because of transgression. This is the law of the priesthood or the animal sacrifice. I'll say it like that. Because the priesthood was going to be, because we know we can go back in Exodus, and what did he do when they went up on the mountain? Then Aaron and his sons come up with them. They couldn't go as far as Moshe, but they still was up on the mountain, right? So we got to keep that in mind. Now, but this is the law when Paul says, why should you serve the law? It was active. This is what he's talking about. And at the time, you had different Pharisees that was trying to force different things on the new converts, or I would say the lost 10 tribes that was starting to come back to this thing, because that's what the Mashiach came for. He told you he came only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And we showed you that in different lessons. They were getting baptized and everything else, right? So, but again, the Pharisees didn't believe in the Mashiach. So some of these people, they were trying to make them continue the animal sacrifice, because when the Mashiach died after the earthquake, the veil of the temple was ripped. That was a sign saying that was the end of the animal sacrifice at that time. Because in other words, the seed had come, the mediator, whom the promise was made, and it was ordained by the messengers in the hand of a mediator. See? Now, for as many are under the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, cursed is everyone that continues not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. So this is two different laws we're talking about here. Right? One right here is asking you, this law was added because of transgression, and this is a whole different thing. This is dealing with a book. See, some curses that was written in a book if you didn't keep certain commandments, which was the covenant. We're going to get to that. I'm going to make sure that you really understand this. Genesis 2:17 and 3:19. Let's go look at Genesis 2:17. So that's the problem. When we being taught, and the people that's teaching us don't really understand, in other words, hasn't taken the time to break these laws down, going through each law, and it takes hours and days and months, and it took me years to understand this. But I had to keep searching it. And the Spirit kept helping me little by little, feed me little by little, until finally I was like, oh man, there it is. But just off the top, you're not going to get this just off the top. Spirit going to have to help you with this. Please believe. Now, there's people that have been in this Hebrew walk for a long time can't explain this to you. Genesis 2:17. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. So there was a commandment given, right? And there was a penalty for breaking that commandment, like it's a penalty for breaking all commandments. So when we look at the word surely, if we went to Genesis 33:19, it's going to say the same thing. It's H number 4191. It's the mu'eth or muth, penalty of execution. See, it's a penalty for breaking Elohim's commandments. And we got to keep that in mind. And let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 27. Let's go look at this. See, but the thing is, you gotta just understand what's being said to you. And then you gotta have somebody that's willing to teach you that. Deuteronomy chapter 27. And Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, keep all the commandments which I command you this day. And it shall be on the day when you shall pass over Jordan unto the land which Yahuwah thy Elohim giveth thee, that thou shalt set thee up great stones and plaster them with plaster. And thou shalt write upon them all the words of this law when thou art passed over, that thou mayest go into all the land which Yahuwah thy Elohim giveth thee, a land that floweth with milk and honey, as Yahuwah Elohim of thy fathers has promised thee. Now I was talking with a brother, and we was talking about, but man, anybody could just take. I said, man, listen, man. These people in Afghanistan had these giant rocks, that had been turned over, and the people helped them flip them back over from generations back, and because they didn't look like they was Negro, you got to remember it was a mixed multitude that came out of Egypt. All kind of people was out there with Israel. So when everybody started going their own way, some of these people remembered this stuff because they had remembered it so strong, and they had been out in the middle of nowhere for so long, they still was stoning you and all these things. Ain't nobody gonna do that unless they really, really been looking at this thing and they really been trying to live by this, right? Now, verse 4. Therefore, it shall be when you have be gone over Jordan, that you shall set up these stones which I command you this day in Mount Ebal, and thou shalt plaster them with plaster. And there shalt thou build an altar unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, an altar of stones. Thou shalt not lift up any iron tool upon them. Thou shalt build the altar of Yahuwah thy Elohim of whole stones, and thou shalt offer burnt offerings therein unto Yahuwah thy Elohim. And thou shalt offer peace offerings, and shalt eat there, and rejoice before Yahuwah thy Elohim. And thou shalt write upon the stones all the words of this law very plainly, because it's very important, because guess what? It's a penalty. So he want to make sure that you really can understand what's going on. You can read them plainly. See, because they're very serious. And if you blow it, he gonna punish you. And Moses and the priests, the Levites, spake unto all Israel, saying, take heed and hearken, O Israel, this day, thou art become the people of Yahuwah, thy Elohim. Now, let's look at this thing. Now, you notice it said in Moses and the priests, right? The Levites spake, and okay, because you got to understand, this here with the children that crossed over, because the elders was killed. All the elders that murmured against him, he took an oath that they would never leave out of that desert, and they didn't. So these are the children that was 20 years and under that came through. Now here he is, but he's trying to marry them. Right? Thou shalt therefore obey the voice of thy Elohim, of Yahuwah thy Elohim, and do his commandments and statutes which I command thee this day. And Moses charged the people the same day, saying, these shall stand upon Mount Gerizim to bless the people when you are come over Jordan, Simeon and Levi and Judah, Issachar and Joseph and Benjamin. And these shall stand upon Mount Ebal to curse Reuben, Gad, Asher, and Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. And the Levites shall speak and say unto all the men of Israel with a loud voice, cursed be the man that maketh any graven or molten image, an abomination unto Yahuwah, the work of the hands of the craftsmen. Now, this was never done before. See, this was never done from the very, because you gotta remember at this time, if I'm not mistaken, because this is what this is. It's a ketubah. If I'm not, let me see. Because look, let's go back up. I'm going to show you something. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 26, and we're going to read verse 16. We're going to read down. I want to show y'all something. This day, Yahuwah thy Elohim have commanded thee to do these statutes and judgments. Okay, right? Hokim and Mishpatim, thou shalt therefore keep and do them with all thine heart and with all thy, in other words, all thy mind and with all thy body, all thy soul, right? Everything you got into it. Thou hast avouched, right? Which is, it means a promise, right? I think it's Hebrew word number 559, if I'm not mistaken, but it means you have promised Yahuwah this day to be thy Elohim, and to walk in his ways and keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments, and to hearken unto his voice. And Yahuwah has avouched thee this day to be his peculiar people, and has promised thee that thou shouldst keep all his commandments and make thee high above all the nations which thee. So they both is changing vows, basically, or like it's like a husband and a wife. When they said, will you take this man? Yes, I will. That's basically what's happening here, because this is called it's called instruction, or in other words, what they call a ketubah, or it's an instruction in the covenant. This is what's happening right here. So now, instead of like the last time when he was dealing with the parents before the golden calf, he never said none of this stuff. right? Because remember, we read that he gave the commandments, the testimony, the commandments of the testimony, which is the 10 commandments or the 10 laws. Then he came back with statutes and judgments, Hokim and Mishpatim, how to treat him and how to treat your neighbor. But now here it comes, because this is really the book of the law that's being put in your face that we just read about. Curses everyone that continues not all things which are written in the book of the law, because these were written in the book of the law. Because remember, and we're going to get to that. I don't want to go too fast. Now, let's go back down here to verse 16. Cursed be he that setteth light by his father and his mother. This means to dishonor them. And all the people shall say, hallelujah. Cursed be he that removeth his neighbor's landmark, and all the people shall say, hallelujah. Cursed be he that maketh the blind to wander out of the way. Cursed be he that perverteth the judgments of the stranger, fatherless and widow. Cursed be he that lieth with his father's wife, right? Cursed be he that lieth with any man or beast. Cursed be he that lieth with his sister, daughter, or his father, right? Or his daughter or his mother. Cursed be he that lieth with his mother-in-law. Cursed be he that smiteth his neighbor secretly, like, right, subjugate, attacking, talking bad about folks behind their back. Cursed be he that taketh the reward to slay the innocent person, right? Cursed be he that confirmeth not all the words of this law to do them. And all the people, what did they say? Hallelujah. So they all agreed. So we got to understand this. Now let's go to Psalms. You understand what these different things are, and it makes it real easy. Psalms 119 and verse 21. Thou hast rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do err from thy commandments. And this is what's wrong with this world right now. This is what's wrong with people when they can't put their feelings and their pride and all these things aside and just listen. See, but then they keep wondering why they keep having all these mishaps. And then they don't really even understand that if they don't come up under this thing the right way, they're not going to get in the kingdom. Excuse me, it's chapter 11. This stuff is, it takes diligence. You got to really seek this thing out. I was consumed with this. Jeremiah 11 and 3. And say thou unto them, thus says Yahuwah of the Elohim of Israel, cursed be the man that obeyeth not the words of this covenant. Because it goes all the way back. See, it goes all the way back to what was given from the beginning. Except now you got a book of the book of the covenant turned. It's the same book that these curses was written, and now they're calling it the book of the law. That's all it is. Now let's keep rolling. Now Deuteronomy 32 and 46. Look at Yahuwah Elohim, adduce testimony, words of the emperor. See, any testimony, like when you had the ark of the testimony, the people was filled with the spirit to learn how to put it together, and it was commanded to them how to put it together. So it was the testimony that came out of his mouth, the royal law, which is the 10 commandments or the 10 laws. All these things came out of his mouth and was written with his finger. They're educed. They're his testimony. They're the words of the emperor. When it came to the tabernacle, he put in, he showed Moses the same thing, or the pattern of everything, the blueprint of the tabernacle that was in the heavens, and he gave him instructions on how he wanted it to be done. So this is what we got to understand. It's not what men say, it's what the Father says. Because Yahuwah Elohim, he got the edutes or the testimony of the Father. Yahuwah Elohim, by now, if you went through our first class that we ever put up here, right? The covenant name of the Father, you understand this. So Yahuwah Elohim, who came in the flesh, and his name was Christ. Everything he says in the flesh he said, all things that I get from my Father. It's the same way in the spirit. The Father is the emperor. So everything, all testimony and words come from him. They go to his right-hand man, or the strong arm, and the strong arm gives it and sets it out. And then the Ruach, she comes out and then makes sure that the people's mind is open so they can understand it. That's what it is. So Deuteronomy 32 and 46, and he said unto them, set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day, which you shall command your children to observe and do, all the words of this law, right? Which equals the covenant. So now you understand when you start going through the book and he said, my covenant, you broke my covenant. That's all he keeps trying to point the people back to. This is what he's talking about. So his testimony is H number 5749, or his words. It's the Hebrew word ood. It means to testify. And it can be a witness against you. And then sometimes you're going to see in the scripture when he said, I rose up early to protest against you. You know, I'm mad at you. I'm arguing at you because I'm protesting you because guess what? I'm marching on you because you still won't keep these commandments. See? And if we want to break it down a little further, testimony means to affirm, solemnly warn, because I'm warning you, you need to go ahead and keep these commandments because you know that it's a penalty coming. Exhort or enjoin solemnly, admonish or to charge, right? So we're looking at the covenant, the 10 words, the Hokim and Mishpatim, all in one book. See, the covenant book of the covenant, a book of the covenant. This is what it was. The 10 commandments, Hokim and Mishpatim, all in one book. And then the scripture says, and he added nothing else. That was before they got with Apis, the golden calf. After the golden calf, now here come these curses. This same book of the covenant was changed into the book of the law. Jeremiah 11:7 saying, obeying his words is following his testimony, right? Let's go look at that. Let's go look at that. Okay, Jeremiah, we already in Jeremiah, at least I am. Jeremiah 11:7. For I earnestly protested unto your fathers in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, even unto this day, rising early and protesting, saying, obey my voice. See, so I'm warning you, obey my voice. I'm admonishing you, obey my voice. I'm charging you to obey my voice, right? But let's look at verse 8. Yet they obeyed not, nor inclined their ear, but walked everyone in the imagination of their evil heart. How do they do that? Because they coming up with okay, we'll do this, but then we don't have to do this. See, their imagination. That's what they're dealing with. Okay, I believe. Well, look, I believe. No, we ain't talking about what you believe. We read in this book. We saying what the book says, not what you believe. Because who knows what you believe, right? I will bring upon them all the words of this covenant, which I commanded them to do, but they did them not. So he's going to bring all the words upon you. So that's including these curses. Yeah. So, I mean, we got to understand that. Let's go to Daniel chapter 9. And verse 11, right? Yea, all Israel has transgressed thy law, even by departing. Departing how? Because they departed from the covenant, that they might not obey thy voice. We just got done reading, he said, obey my voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Elohim, because we have sinned against him. See? It's just that simple. Verse 12, and he have confirmed the words which he spake against us and against our judges that judge us, by bringing upon us a great evil, for under the whole heaven have not been done as he have done upon Jerusalem. And people that have any type of scholarship in this book, that's how they know who you are, because if they've been studying this book and they're looking at all the people on the earth, you fit all these problems that's coming out, that's supposed to come on the children of Israel. You fit it. The Negro. And some other nations. But you got to know what you're looking for. Can't just go by slave ships, because that's what because, we've been finding out that, it's not. So we know that the Hebrews was taken from Spain and sent to Negro land. So where the word Negro comes from, and then sent here. And we know that we have Hebrews that escaped and went down into Africa, right? But, we also finding out here lately that, thousands or so years ago, maybe, that some of us crossed over this great land bridge and ended up here. So when they got here already, you already had a lot of indigenous Hebrews that was here because they see in these Indians that look like Africans, right? And some of them might, you know, they look kind of, you know, they look like this or they look like that, but they got these fringes on. And then these explorers noticing how they keeping the Sabbath day. You know, when a woman is on her menstrual, how she separates herself and all this, and they bring her food. I mean, it's just so many things that's in these laws that the people are saying, wait a minute, these Indians is keeping the laws. Oh, they acting like they Israel because they doing the same thing the children of Israel was commanded to do. So I mean, so don't get it twisted. We scattered all over this place, just like this book said. And a lot of us was being taken out of the Americas, sent to Cuba, sent to Haiti, sent. So it's just now we all like the lie we've been told that we all these 80 million people put on slave ships and brought here. That's not true. But again, that's in another lesson. Now, the 10 words, I put this here so you can understand who's dealing with you. The 10 words, Hokim and Mishpatim, all in one book. Now, Exodus 25, 16 and 22. And there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat. Who is going to do that? Yahuwah Elohim, the Son, right? From between the two cherubim, which upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I will give thee in commandment unto the children of Israel. Exodus 31 and 18. And he gave unto Moshe, when he had made an end communing with him, Mount Sinai, the two tables of testimony. Testimony out of the mouth of Yahuwah Elohim that was given to him by the Father. Tables of stone written with the finger of Yahuwah Elohim. Exodus 38 and 21. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest. See, so all these things are testimony. So when he tells you to do something, he expects us to do it exactly like he says for us to do it. Because if they'd have made this out of their own imagination, he would slaughter them. When people say that's cruel, no, this is the Elohim that we serve. You know, he's so kind, it's unbelievable. He's so merciful, it's unbelievable. I mean, he blesses us with so many things, even the things we don't even realize, we don't even think about. But when he tells you to do something, he like the Father some of us never had. He expect you to do it. Otherwise, it's gonna be a penalty. So it's just that simple. Now, Jeremiah 11 and 7 saying, obeying his word is following his testimony. We just read these two, Daniel 9 and 11. Okay, so that, let's come over here now. Now we know that this is the crown that Aaron wore on his head, right? The name of Yahuwah in it, so that the high priest may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which will sanctify the sons of Israel. Okay, so we know this is what this really basically symbolized, even though the Romans had jokes, but they're going to pay for that. What holy things? 10 commandments, which equal to 10 words or 10 laws, covenant broken by all men. All of us, for all men have sinned and come short of the glory of the Elohim, period. Hokim and Mishpatim was destroyed because they stopped treating him like they were supposed to, and they stopped treating each other, Mishpatim, as they were supposed to, right? Statutes and judgments. The Levites became corrupted, so he had to replace this, right? The temple defiled, so he had to replace. I mean, this is coming, right? Because we can go into Revelation and we go into some of the prophets like Ezekiel. It's going to tell you how the temple is going to be set up and how he's going to come in one gate that can't nobody go through and sit down and break bread with the Father. But he's going to restore the covenant and all things, right? Why? To give back to the Father when all is fulfilled. Because all power was given to him because he came, he did the Father's will, he had a mission, he completed it. So all power was given to him. His inheritance was all power and a kingdom, right? But we know in Corinthians, it says that when the Father's kingdom comes down, he's going to hand over everything back to the Father. So that's just scripture. But this is what his thing was. As a high priest, this is what he came to do. And we can read about this in Hebrews. But these are the things that he came back to restore, because all these things have been corrupted. Now, Exodus 28:38, it says to bear iniquity, sin, and to take it away. In other words, to exterminate it by taking it upon oneself. The high priest was exalted into an atoning mediator of the whole nation, right? That's why he laid his hand on a bull. But guess what? Guess what? Hands was laid on him. And an atoning, sin exterminating intercession was associated with his office. That's what the Mashiach came to do. He came to bear the iniquity of all the people, right? And to take it away. That's why he's so important. That's why we thank the Father for him, because he is the ultimate love gift. Because without him, none of us could have even dream about getting any type of salvation. Now, he's the right arm or the yod. Yahusha, the living, breathing covenant that visited his creation, full of grace, which equals mercy, and truth, which equals Torah covenant, commandments, and every aduth, testimony, hokim, and mishpatim, statute, and judgment. A Nazarite. Right? Somebody said, well, how could he drunk wine? Because man, he didn't take the vow. He was a Nazarite, though. And we're gonna look at this right now. He just didn't take the vow. He was made this way. Judges 13:5. This is Shamshun. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come upon his head. For the child shall be a Nazarite unto Elohim from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. Matthew 2:23, and he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene, right? Or a Nazarite, same thing. Same thing, except in this time, there was no place called Nazareth. Let's keep moving. So, of course, remember how this brother head was looking? Your Mashiach head was looking just like that. So, you see these little young brothers running around here with these locks, but I don't know, I call them worms. You look at some of these older Rasta guys, and they got these big, thick bongo dreads. You can best believe that's how his look too. Yahuwah Elohim gave Moses the 2 tables of testimony, Ezekiel 31:18, to carry back to the people, a kind of personally signed covenant document from the Elohim with no addendums. See, when it comes to the 10 commandments, you can't add or take away from that. You can't do nothing with that. When it comes to the hokim and mishpatim, the statutes and judgments, you can't add or take away from them. It's going to be a death penalty. And not only just a death penalty, you're going to get all the curses. You're going to get all the sickness of all every type of disease and stuff that ain't even mentioned in the book, the scripture said. See, but we're going to see that Joshua, what did he do? He added to the book of the law because he was able to, because there was no bloodshed with it. It was just words spoken, oaths taken, vows made, the testimony, right? But when it came to the book of the covenant, that was sprinkled. The people were sprinkled. The children that was 20 and under that came and crossed over, there was no blood sprinkled on them. They avouched themselves, and Yahuwah vouched himself to them. We just read that. But there was no animal, there was no blood sprinkled on them. The testimony, 10 laws and instructions, hokim and mishpatim, can never be added to or taken away from. It will never perish, and it can't be done away with. It is a set apart covenant set in blood. This was set in blood. As we have read, Moses gave nothing but what he was instructed to give. Let's go to Matthew. And that's what people miss that. See, he didn't tell them don't come to the mountain. He didn't tell them to go wash themselves. There wasn't none of that. Wasn't none of that. But he just said, okay, I'm just gonna put these curses out here and let them handle it. And we falling into it, and we still can't see it. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm not coming to destroy the 10 commandments, the hokim and the mishpatim. or what the prophets is trying to tell you how to, you need to come back to them, because that's why I'm sending the prophets to you, to tell you to come back to my covenant. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill, which means to fully preach. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot, one tittle, in no wise pass from the law to all be fulfilled. I mean, it's all kind of places we can go to look at that. And I tell you what, let's go to Hosea chapter 4. Hosea chapter 4. Now, let's read verse 1 through 6. And I don't care how long this class is. If it's too long for you, guess what? You can just cut it off, stop it, and come back to it. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you children of Israel. For Yahuwah hath controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, there is no Torah, nor mercy, nor knowledge of Elohim in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and commit adultery, they break out and blood touches blood, murder. Because we see murder all over the place, right? Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of the heaven, yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another, for thy people are as they that strive with the priests. Therefore shalt thou fall in the day, and the prophets also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother, Israel. My people are destroyed of lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I also will reject thee, and thou shalt be no priest to me, saying that thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim. I will also forget thy children, right? Let's see. All right, let's see. Let me see something. I had to read that one, but hold on a minute. Just looking for something else. Okay. Let me see something. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 2 and 13. Hosea is all these prophets are real good book. Real good book. But that's why the people that say, well, my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge, but they never keep reading down, right? So you can see exactly what's going on, right? Now, I said 2 and 13. Let's see. All right, I'll tell you what, let's do this here. All right, let's start right here. We're going to start at verse 5. Actually, well, so, oh man, I kind of want to get this one too, but that's okay. O house of Jacob, come ye, let us walk in the light of Yahuwah. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and our soothsayers like the Philistines. And they please themselves in the children of strangers, right? Because we see that all around us. This is what we doing. We marrying folks. We be living like them. We talk like them. We eat like them. I mean, you know, we soothsayers because we doing all kind of witchcraft with drugs, and I mean, it's a whole lot of other things. Their land also is full of silver, right? They got all these nice cars and gold. Neither is there any end of their treasure. They making money. That's all they think about. That's all they rap about. That's all they sing about. Their land is also full of horses, all kind of different chariots and cars. Neither is there any end of their chariots, all right? Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made, and the mean man bows down, and the great man humbleth himself. Therefore, forgive them not. Enter the rock and hide thee in the dust for the fear of Yahuwah and for the glory of his majesty. Revelation 6 and 16. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled. That hasn't happened yet. The haughtiness of men shall be bowed down. That hasn't happened yet. And Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. That definitely hasn't happened. So it hasn't been fulfilled. For the day of Yahuwah of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty. So we don't see the day of Yahuwah because it ain't no carnage. Right? And upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And upon the cedars of Lebanon, that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the high hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fence wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all the pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down. We don't see that now. And the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. Again, we don't see that. See, go down to verse 20. Now let's look now. No, let's keep right. Let's keep riding. Verse 18. And the idols he shall utterly abolish. We still see people bowing down to all kind of different Elohim. We still see people worshiping different things, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks. We don't see that happening. And the caves of the earth. This is all these things are going to happen for the fear of Yahuwah and for the glory of his majesty. This is on the day of Yahuwah. Every last one of these prophets talk about it. When he arises to terribly, to shake terribly the earth. So he's going to tear this place apart. Do you see that now? So all ain't fulfilled, right? And that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself, to worship to the moles and the bats. He's going to throw that stuff behind him because now he realized it's worthless. All these years he's been wasting time trying to get rich, to go into the clefts of rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for the fear of Yahuwah and for the glory of his majesty, when he arises to shake terribly the earth. Cease you from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? So, just stay away from these folks, man. Seek after Yah. And I mean, I can spend, there's so many more. I can spend 2 or 3 hours going through these prophets, but I just want to kind of give you an idea that we being destroyed from lack of knowledge because we don't understand what's going on. See? Now, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 29. People say that my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. Why? Well, see, they don't know what the books say. We just got them reading because they're not trying to keep this covenant. That's the law he's talking about. That's why they destroy. They have lack of knowledge about his covenant. And that's what he ain't playing with that. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 14 through 15. Now let's look at this. It says, neither with you only do I make this covenant with this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before Yahuwah your Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day. For you know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt and how we came through the nations which you passed by. See, verse 1 says, these are the words of the covenant which Yahuwah commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. See, beside the one that he made with them in Horeb. So you had the parents, now the children. This is what he's telling you. And Moses called unto all Israel and said unto them, you have seen all that Yahuwah did before your eyes in the land of Egypt. So what he's saying is for all Israel that's standing there at this day, verse 14, and all the children that's going to come out of their loins in the future. And that's the other thing we don't understand. Well, that's for them. No, it's for you, because once you understand, you don't understand who you are. This is why we going through the same thing. Because we Israel and everybody that is Israel, no matter what they look like, because I ain't stuck on this thing. That gets on my nerves, man. I mean, it's just, I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's just, I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Now, the book of the covenant was given. Let's go to Exodus chapter 24. This is very important right here, so I want y'all to pay attention. Exodus chapter 24, 7 through 8. And he took the book of the covenant. Let me give you a few more minutes. Exodus chapter 24. We're going to start at verse 6, because this is talking about showing how the young man had went and offered burnt offering. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the blood of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahuwah has said, we will do and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant, which Yahuwah have made with you concerning these words, right? And then this is when they went and then they went ahead and had their meal, right? But this is when This is dealing with the book of the covenant. So we got to understand that. See, it's very, very important. So let's go look at something else. Let's see. Kind of think. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to. We did Exodus 24:7. But we see that he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of all the people, and he said, all that you said, we will do. So we have the book of the covenant that was given him, the law of the spirit of life, right? Which is, and then so he's telling us to Shema and listen, because the law of the spirit of life is the covenant. See, that's the law of the spirit of life, the 10 commandments. He's telling us to obey and to love him. So we see that we say HaMashiach, because this is all the things he had to replace, right? So he went ahead and he, in other words, once we made that breach, Mashiach was the one, he became the bridge for us to cross back over. And now through the Mashiach, this is how we're going to try to get back in the Father's house. So Yahuwah declared these commands in a loud voice to your entire assembly on the mountain, from out of the fire and dark clouds, and nothing more was added. He inscribed them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me, Deuteronomy 5:22. Moses talking to the new generation that had come out of the wilderness. This is what he's telling them. This was already back here in Exodus 24. This was given to your fathers. See, this was given to them. Nothing more was added. See, the laws and statutes, Exodus chapter 20 through 24. And I think if you go up on the Hokim and Mishpatim, I went ahead and put the audio for the audio of the book of Exodus for the Hokim, the commandments, Hokim and Mishpatim. And I just said, if you just go up there and listen to it, meditate it, while you doing the dishes, while you doing something in the house, just listen to it. While you driving in your car, and you will see, how can somebody say these things are done away with? Mercy. So we see that we get mercy by being lawful. Paul is telling you this. Paul ain't never took nothing away from these commandments. People be tripping. But at the same time, if you don't know that, then you can't catch them in a lie, or you can't just see them. Because sometimes, it's not that people is lying to you or they trying to kill you. They just don't know. But my thing is, I don't see, because see, when you're a teacher, it's dangerous to be a teacher. I guess that's probably why I didn't want to do this for so long, because if you mishandle this word, our punishment is going to be worse than the people that just didn't do it. I mean, he said he has a special place set up for people that teach this thing and teach it wrong. So you really, when you teaching, you really got to make sure you got to scrutinize everything to make sure that you on point as much as you possibly can in your own mind, according to these scriptures. In other words, I'm giving you everything that I know to give you. I'm not holding nothing back. I'm not trying to hide nothing for my own agenda, nothing, and sometimes people don't know enough. But at the same time, if they're not keeping the commandments, then they don't have the spirit. We proved that over and over, and this is why they don't know. Romans chapter 5:21, that as sin has reigned into death, even so my grace be king through righteousness. We know righteousness is what? Is keeping the covenant unto eternal life by Yahushua HaMashiach. So this is how you get grace. You get grace by being lawful. Not because you say you believe or in your own imagination and I don't have to do that no more, but I got to do this. That's why I'm doing this, and I'm taking my time with it. Now, we see that the book of the law was added, right? Deuteronomy. The word Deuteronomy just means in Hebrew, second law. That's all it means. So the children was given this book of the law with the curses added because of lawlessness of the parents, carnal minded, right? Because we know that it's in Romans chapter 8:6, it said the carnal mind hates the commandments and it won't be subject to them. So the covenant was broken. So this book right here is going to be a witness against you, and it's full of curses. I don't care what nobody else tells you. Well, you're not under the curse because Christ came. You don't keep these commandments, you're gonna be on, because even with the Mashiach, with Christ, you still, yeah, you obey him, but he told you, if you love me, keep my commandments. And he's the one that gave me at Mount Sinai. So yeah, you got to be up under him, because if you don't, if you just try to keep these commandments or this law or these 10 laws and the whole kingdom of Mishpatim by themselves, then you're gonna end up being like the Pharisee under the law. And we're gonna get to that too. Because you can't just be up under the laws, because the law can't save you. You need the Messiah, and you have to keep the commandments. It's just that simple. And Yahuwah commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments that you might do them in the land whether you go over to possess it. Deuteronomy 4:14. So we know here, let's go here, 2 Chronicles. Let me show you something. So some people say, well, see, there was 2 different books. Man, there wasn't no 2 different books. You just got to look around and find the right scripture. See, you got to do some research. They try to make it like it's 2 different books all the time, and it's not. Same book. All right, let me get something to drink here real quick. I can't believe it. I ain't coughed one time in this lesson. Wow. Praise y'all. 2 Chronicles, chapter 34. Let's go through verse 14 through 19. And when they brought out the money that was brought into the house of Yahuwah, Hilkiah the priest found a book of the law of Yahuwah given by Moses. Okay, so he done found this book right here, the book of the law given by Moses, right? Which it was not, see, it didn't say Moses' law, it said given by Moses, because we know by now that it was given to him. Because he was writing down the whole time. We're going to read that too. And Hilkiah answered and said to Shaphan, the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of Yahuwah. And Hilkiah delivered the book to Shaphan. And Shaphan carried the book to the king and brought the king word back again, saying, all that was committed to thy servant, they do it. And they have gathered together the money that was found in the house of Yahuwah, and have delivered it into the hand of the overseers and to the hand of the workmen. Then Shaphan the scribe told the king, saying, Hilkiah the priest have given me a book, and Shaphan read it before the king. And it came to pass when the king heard the words of the law that he rent his clothes, right? Now, let's go down to verse 29. You can read this on your own. I just want you to see this. All right. Verse 29. Then the king sent and gathered together all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. And the king went up into the house of Yahuwah, and all the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the priests and the Levites, and all the people great and small. And he read in their ears the words of the book of, wait a minute. Oh, snap. In their ears the words of the book of the covenant that was found in the house of Yahuwah. It's right here. And the king stood in the place and made a covenant before Yahuwah to walk after Yahuwah and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes. See, these 3 is always together. With all his heart, and with all his soul, to perform the words of the covenant, see, which are written in this book. And he caused all that were present in Jerusalem and Benjamin to stand to it, and the habits of Jerusalem did according to the covenant of Elohim, the God or the Elohim of their fathers. So it's 1 minute up here in verse 14, he's calling it the book of the law, but then down here it's called the book of the covenant because it's the same book. Just one was just added, some things was added to it, right? To punish you. Let's keep going. So the book of the law. Now let's even Paul understood this. Let's go to Romans chapter 5. But again, it just takes, I'm not going to keep attacking folks because I ain't trying to attack nobody. I'm just trying to help somebody right now. It just, but I mean, this is what y'all gave me to do. And who knows, this might be the last thing that I do. I don't know, but I'm going to do it with all my might. Romans 5:17. Now let's look at this thing. For by one man's offense, Adam, death reigned by one, right? Much more, we just got done reading when he was talking about sin having reigning, right? Sin reigning, right? By one, much more, they which receive abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness. We just found out how to get grace is through righteousness. It's a gift. And this point, the gift of righteousness, right? Who is that? It's the Mashiach shall reign in the life by one, Yahushua HaMashiach. See? Therefore, as by the offense of one, judgment came upon all men to condemnation, even so by the righteousness of one, the free gift. That's why we always say that prayer. The ultimate love gift came upon all men into justification of life. For as by one man's disobedience, many were made sinners, so by the obedience of one shall many be made righteous. Now watch this. Moreover, the law entered that the offense might abound. But where sin abounded, grace did much more. So the law entered that the offense might take over, there's going to be judgment, it's going to be punishment, right? So we look at the word entered, the law entered to enter into what? This is the book of the law, the judgments that were first given in Exodus chapter 21 and 1. Let's go back there. It takes a little time to dig this out. And again, we have to use the tools that Yahweh will put in men's mind to help us, so we can help us understand these words better. See? Now, right here in Exodus chapter 21 and 1, what did he say to Moshe? Now, these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. See? And he starts going through the judgments, showing you these things. See? I'm hoping y'all understand this. So the book of the law, again, you got two things that you're dealing with. You're dealing with the law that was imposed upon you, which was the animal sacrifice. Then you got this another law that's beating you down, which is the book of the law. See, these were imposed to ensure death for disobedience. See, that's what this is. Because he got tired of playing with us. All right. So in other words, I'm going to leave it up to you. Either you could do this and live, or guess what? You ain't going to do it, and guess what? They're going to kill you. For as many as are the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, curses everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. So you're going to do these things. Because that's how Paul break this down. Galatians 3 and 10, for all who rely on the works of the law are under the curse. So we're going to show you what the works of the law is. As it is written, curses everyone who does not continue to do everything written in the book of the law. See, Paul, just all he doing is he going back and forth. He quoting Moses. Exodus 20 and 25. So I gave them commandments that were not good, right? But you see, they added this, an ordinance in which they should not live. Because he got tired of us. So he went ahead and said, okay, I'm just going to say it like this, because I know it's going to kill a lot of y'all, because a lot of y'all is wicked anyway. So I'm just going to put this up here, and I'm going to put either you're going to do them and live, or you're not going to do them and you're going to die. Then I'm even going to be and until that time, because until the time of Reformation, you're going to have to do these. Otherwise, it's going to be a penalty. But then when the Reformation come, when the seed come that was promised to come, guess what? You get up under that seed, you straight. But you still gotta, for all who, you still gotta do them. If you're gonna live by these things, you have to do them, and you have to live by them because they're commandments. That's about the simplest way I can put it. You're gonna do them because they're a covenant. The new covenant does not change the commandments, because if they did, he would have came and said, well, I'm here now. If you love me, just be up under me. Don't worry about the commandments no more. No, he didn't say that. He said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments, but you got to believe on me. See, that I'm the lamb. My blood is what's covering you from dying. See, when we was in the church, that's what they said, the blood of the lamb. Yeah, but they didn't tell you what it really meant, and that you still had to do these commandments. They told you was under grace, and you just believe. But believing is obedience, so we know that by now. So you got to have both. We're going to keep rolling on this thing. For as many are under the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. But that no man is justified by the law. See, the law alone can't save you. See, in the sight of Elohim, for it is evident the just shall live by faith. What's faith? Obedience. So the law can't save you, but you still got to obey them. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them. What shall live in what? The royal covenant commandments, the 10 commandments. You're going to live in them. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law. Yes, the book of the law. So he redeemed you from that. He pulled you to himself. He wrapped his hands or arms around you. Now you covered with the blood, but you still going to live in them royal commandments. See? So Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, the book of the law, being made a curse for us. We just got to read in the beginning that he took that on himself for you, but you got to stay with him. Cursed is everyone that hangeth on the tree. Now, let's keep going further. I'm trying to explain this so that you understand it, because please believe me, it's a hard thing to get. But before faith came, who is faith? The Mashiach, right? We were kept under the law, book of the law, shut up unto, right, held captive, because we just got done reading, said I gave you these laws that I know they weren't good for you, but I'm going to punish you. The faith which should afterward be revealed. What faith? The faith in the Mashiach that should be revealed. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster. It was a guide. Because the schoolmaster, when you back, I don't know how it is, but now you can't even breathe on these kids. But when I was a shorty, my mother had sent us to Catholic school. And man, them nuns, they was like schoolmasters. You didn't do it. They said they would take that ruler and crack you on them knuckles. And that's what the book of the law was. It beat you into submission, see, to bring you unto Christ, to get your mind right until the seed should come, that we might be justified by believing, by being obedient. That's how you justify. We just got done reading that in Romans chapter 5. But after that faith is come, after the Mashiach come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster, so we ain't got to worry about the curses in the book of the law. For you are the children of Elohim by the faith in Christ Yasha. So faith, again, it's an action word. It's that you believe enough in the Mashiach that what you're going to do, man, you're going to go ahead and try to find out about this royal covenant commandments. That's all it's saying, because he told you, if you love me, keep my commandments. Point blank. And then guess what? I'm so merciful that me and the Father, we love you so much. We gonna go ahead and give you another part of the Elohim, which is the comforter. And guess what? The comforter is going to lead you and guide you in, look here, in these royal covenant commandments, so you can learn how to do them. Because see, if you my friend, guess what? You're going to do what I say. Ain't that what he said? So if you my friend and you want to hang with me and you want my blood to stay on you, guess what? You better listen to the Ruach, because the Ruach is going to show you how to keep these covenant commandments. Got to do them. There's no way around it. They cannot be changed. They cannot be altered. Nothing. The schoolmaster were the curses to keep you in line until faith came, or the time of reformation. Now, John 1:14, and the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace, which is mercy, and truth, which is Torah, or the covenant commandments. That's all it's saying. You got a blue letter Bible, you got a Brown Drivers Briggs, you got a Strong's Bible dictionary. Look these words up, especially this one. We can go to the Psalms, we've done it many times, and show you scriptures that tell you truth is the commandments, truth is the covenant, truth is the testimony. It's what it is. See, he came full of it, along with the 7 spirits that was given to him to strengthen him, so he can come in this wicked world ruled by Hasatan and do this thing to save you and me. Now let's look at this. This law was added because of sin. Now let's look at this works of the law. Jude 1:4, for there are certain men crept in unawares who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men turning the grace of our Elohim into last filthiness. But you ain't got to do this no more. You ain't got to do that no more. That's an abomination to the Father. And denying the only sovereign Elohim and our sovereign Yahshua HaMashiach, because they did not believe in him. They just took the law, period. That's it. I don't need no Mashiach. He ain't came anyway. And then if you've been going through our class on Esau, you're going to understand a whole lot why they was like this and who they are. So they waiting on Hasatan. They ain't studying the Mashiach. That's why he was always dealing with them, because they was trying to put a yoke on the people's neck that was putting them under the law. Romans 7:10, I found that the very commandment that was intended to bring life actually brought me death. See, Paul is telling you this. See, it was intended to give you life, but your people just couldn't do right. I mean, we refuse to do right even to this day. So it's bringing us death in record numbers. Man, I mean, some of the places that you live at in this country where Israel is at, it's so bad, man. Folks are trying to get out of town, but just think about you trying to get out of town, but you can't afford to get out of town. And all the death toll is already up to 500 killings this year. Man, please. Why? Because they refuse to keep the royal law. They just won't do it. And then there's nobody, the people they're scared to talk to them. That's why we try to hit these streets and talk to these brothers. Because somebody got to help them. They don't want to listen to no pastor because unlike their parents, they looking at this cat. They see the game. And then I'm going to tell you something else. Sometimes, a lot of times, these teachers end up in places they don't need to be. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Elohim forbid. No, I had not known sin but by the law. For I had not known lust except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. What is that? Exodus 20. He's showing you the 10 commandments. So in other words, I mean, I can show you many more, but I would not have known what sin is. I wouldn't even know what lust was unless the royal commandments told me what it was. See, and it was Exodus chapter 20, which was the 10 commandments, and he's showing that the children was told the same thing in Deuteronomy, second law. But I see another law of my members warring against the law of my mind and bringing me into the captivity of the law of sin, which is in my members. So the law of sin, didn't David tell you he was born into iniquity? See, it's already in us because of Adam. It's the law of sin. This is what we got to fight off. So you need a law. Like I remember back in the day, they said, man, to catch you need a wolf to catch a wolf. You got to have the law of liberty or the law of the royal commandments to help you beat down the law of sin, which is your flesh. See, but that's a law too. We know that ain't done away because the world is going crazy. Folks getting stabbed and you going shopping, you mind your own business. Somebody coming in just stabbing folks, just shooting folks, just killing, all this killing and raping and man, please. It's out of control. Sin is rampant right now. Now, wherefore serve the law? It was our schoolmaster to bring us into Christ that we might be justified by faith. This is the book of the law, schoolmaster, guide, tutor, supervisor of morals, and instructor. Because I try to give you the whole Kim and Mishpatim or the Mishpatim, there's some good morals before, but that just didn't do no good. So now I had to go ahead and give you something just to knock you off because you hard-headed. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of Elohim, it is evident, for the just shall live by faith. So the just shall live by being obedient and keeping the 10 commandments, right? And the whole Kim and Mishpatim. So the word just is righteous, observing divine laws, G number 1342, in a wide sense, to be upright, righteous, virtuous, like the virtuous woman, keeping the commandments of Yahuwah Elohim. It's just that simple. So the just shall live by being righteous. The just shall live by observing divine laws. The just shall live by being upright. The just shall live by being righteous. The just shall live by being virtuous. The just shall live by keeping the commands of Yahuwah Elohim, because he told you, obey my voice. Therefore, right? Okay, so animal sacrifice, statutes, and judgment. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Romans 3, I don't know what I did right there. It got to be, I think it's 8 and 31. Yeah. I don't know what I did. Excuse me for that, y'all. Establish, so that let's see. So let's see. Establishes G number 2476 stand firm to keep intact to escape. To escape what? To escape the law of sin. Faith, G number 3982 is conviction of truth or anything belief. In the New Testament of the conviction of belief respecting man's relationship to Elohim and divine things. What divine? The divine laws are divine things. Generally with the included idea of trust and holy fervor. You're supposed to be on fire for this thing. Born of faith and join with it. Join with what? Join with the things that you're going to do, that you're going to live in. You're going to live in them. It's just that simple. Wherefore, my brethren, you also, Romans 7:4, are become dead to the law by the body of Christ. Dead to what law? Dead to the law of sin. And you also dead to the book of the law, that you should be married to another, even to him who raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto Elohim. Now, how you going to bring forth fruit to Elohim? By obeying his voice. So you gotta, once you start to understand this, when you start to get with Paul, it's like, it starts to be like, oh man, this is like child's play. For the law of the spirit of life in Christ, Yahushua HaMashiach has made me free from the law of sin and death. See, it's all kind of laws in this thing. For Christ is the end of the law, for righteousness to everyone that believes. So he the end of the book of the law. All you got to do is believe. He is the gate of protection. See? Why he got them open arms up here? Because I'm telling you, come on, man, get with the program. Now, let's look at this Galatians. Now, this is we're gonna look at this a little bit too. Got to. Now, look, follow me now. And verily, they that are the sons of Levi who receive the office of the priesthood have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they came out of the Lord's of Abraham. Now, we got to go through. I know it's like, man, we go through this again. Yes, I'm trying to get this in your mind. If therefore perfection will be brought through the priesthood of Levi, by which the law has been put upon the people, why was there another priest required who should arise in resemblance of Melchizedek? And I got this out the Aramaic Peshitta, for he said, I in the likeness of Aharon he shall be, and in the likeness of Aharon he was, except he didn't have no, he didn't have no infirmities. He was straight up and did everything he was supposed to do. Now I want y'all to go ahead and make sure that you highlight this stuff. Who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of the endless life, right? The carnal commandment, Romans 8:6-7. Galatians 3:15. See, there was no oath taken, for there is verily a disannulling of the commandment going before the weakness and the profitable thereof. We know it was weakness in it, because what did Aaron do? Aaron fashioned the golden calf, and unprofitable thereof, because animals are steady dying for no reason. And people still was sinning. See? So Matthew 26:41 says, for the law maketh men high priests which have infirmity. But this man, huh? I love that. See, because Aaron had infirmity. All the other priests had infirmities. All you had to do is keep reading. You start seeing these priests was doing some crazy stuff. Right? And y'all was knocking them off too. For the law made nothing perfect, right? Not the 10 commandments, but the bringing in of a better hope did, by the which we draw nigh to Elohim. See, so I mean, so this animal sacrifice, it didn't make nothing perfect. It was just animals dying. That's why the Father said, and the Elohim said they never liked it in the first place. But the better hope did. What's the better hope? The better hope is the Mashiach. See? Now, let's look at this other one. All right, other things Paul's saying, Hebrews 9:10, because he's telling you in Hebrews chapter 9, they are only a matter of food and drink and various ceremonial washings, external regulations applying until the time of the new order. What new order? The new order of the priest, the new order of the covenant. Law and commandments still good to this day. So all this stuff was just done right now until the Mashiach get here. But guess what? It's coming back. You can go to Ezekiel and read that. And people try to say, well, I think that was added. Okay, I don't know, man. All I know is that's what it says. And, you know, if I'm looking at something and I go through all the sources that I have, all the different old encyclopedias, all the different interlinears and Hebrew dictionaries, and that's what it's saying, then I believe it. Because I done did my due diligence. So guess what? In my mind, I'm not convinced because it says every man got to be persuaded in their own mind. Now, if you can help me with this persuasion, then come on, break it down. But just that talking, I don't know. You can't come to the elder right here with that talking. You got to show me some witnesses. A lot of them like to talk, but that's all they do. But they can't never give you no proof. And I ain't talking about just don't give me no special book from the mountains of Morocco somewhere. I need 2 or 3 witnesses, and I need to be able to see it in this 66. That's me. The Pharisees, enemies of the living Torah, and the way, or the Nazarene, right? Oral and written laws and tradition. Now that's very important. Remember this, the way, oral and written laws and traditions which they supersede Torah of Yahuwah. So these jokers had their own laws. See, that's what they was under. And they was putting the people under oral and written laws and traditions which they supersede Torah of Yahuwah. Just like today, our pastors was putting us under oral laws and traditions that superseded the 10 Commandments because they're telling you don't have to do it no more. And their books was the Torah and the Talmud and the Mishnah. Is he the Elohim of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. Because see, we're going to see what that means. Romans 2 and 26 and Romans 5 and 21. But Romans 2 and 26, because he's saying it. So, because in their mind, nobody else could get salvation except unless you was a Hebrew. If you was a stranger, no, you can't come in here. And then even when the lost tribes started trying to come back, they didn't even want to let them in the temple. Man, they unclean. They full of this. They full of that. And then trying to come back and put all this stuff on these people. But if you don't understand these rascals right here, you're gonna miss out on a whole lot. A whole lot. See, we're gonna get to that. The Pharisees were continuing employing the letter of man-made laws to destroy the spirit of the law of Yahuwah. See, the spirit of the law, we already know. We just got done reading that. We know that's the 10 Commandments, the whole King and Mishpatim. But they was employing the letter of man-made law, the letter of the law. That's what Paul's talking about. He's not talking about the letter of the law, the 10 Commandments. The letter of the law is a letter of man-made laws. That's these jokers. This was their man-made laws, the Talmud and the Mishnah, Babylonian Talmud. I'm finna learn something today. Now, the Sabbath was designed by Yahuwah to give man an opportunity to know his maker. It allowed for time to reflect upon his love, mercy, and bountiful blessings. But instead of it reflecting the character of Yahuwah, the Sabbath became a reflection of the cruel character of the Pharisees and the scribes. Go to Matthew chapter 16. See, this is what people say. Well, they're trying to put you under a yoke. Look, man, the yoke is what the Pharisees was doing. That's what the Mashiach was talking about. He ain't talking about how you gonna give you something and then he gave it to you, and while he was in the spirit, then he gonna come in the flesh and tell you that it. But I understand. Let's see, Romans 16, 11 through 12. Let's see. You know what? Let me see something. Let's see. Okay. It says, how is it that you do not understand that I spake it not to you concerning bread, that you should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, the doctrine, and of the Sadducees? He's telling you beware of their doctrine. Then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of the bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. See, it's their doctrine, because anytime you have bread that's from Yahuwah, we know that's the Mashiach. He's the bread of life, right? So all you need is him, like we've been saying, right? But guess what? When the Pharisees was taking and adding leaven to it, adding sin to it, adding a rising agent to it, polluting it. This is what they was doing to the people. Had the people terrified. And a lot of them were stuck. And guess what? We're gonna look at somebody else who was stuck with them. Many Jewish regarded these traditions more important than the laws of Moses. Notice I said Jewish people and the 10 Commandments. See, these traditions and stuff was strong, and it's still like that right now. The Pharisees legalistically taught that salvation was to be obtained through observance of these rules. A pious Jew's life tended to become one endless effort to avoid ceremony uncleanliness. That's why they always washing their hands and all these type of things, all these rituals. This system of righteousness by works, the works of the law was in complete opposition with righteousness by faith. This is what Paul is trying to tell you about the works of the law. Not talking about the 10 Commandments. Rabbis, oral law forbid them to eat with those of other nations, not the Torah of Yahuwah. That was not, see, this is their thing. You know, you can't eat with them. I mean, you know, no, they're from another nation. That's why he says, isn't he the Elohim of the Gentiles also? Let's go back to that. I want you to see that. Is he the Elohim of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. See, but you don't understand this if you don't understand that who these Pharisees and Sadducees were. Let's keep rolling. See, the Talmud Avada prohibits eating with Goyim, or people of other nations. The Talmud Avada, the Gemara, prohibits eating any food made by a Gentile or ham, even forbids eating with them. Zara 37 through 42. See, these are actual scriptures. They're actual out of their own little made up book that they say that was given to the 70 elders at Mount Sinai, which it's with straight lie. Well, you know, Moses got that, but this is what we got. Okay, right. And then you have some of us running around, Star Renfram. You always can recognize them because they always got this around their neck. They always acting a fool. They cussing folks out and all this other. Can't talk to them. They argue everybody down. No fruits of the spirit. And they always, I mean, like you hear them all the time. The white man is the devil. Read. And hey, you know, you need to hear this. Read. Can I ask you a question? No, you can't ask me nothing, nigga. Blah, 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 blah. Same old stuff. Now, the Pirkei Avot, right? Timeless wisdom for modern life. What does this book tell you to do? Make a fence around Torah. Only Israel allow. And you have these guys running around with, see, you know, the white man, there's no way there's no white Hebrews. There's no way. You got to look like this. You got to look like me. Otherwise, man, get out of here with that. Prove it. Prove it. You got people in this world, in other countries, that don't look nothing like you. And guess what? They keeping this Torah harder than you. Harder. Because they're not wrapped up in material things. They not, man, it's so, I can go on and on, but that ain't what we on right now. Let's keep rolling. Pharisaical order, or the Debra. Authority, they sit in Moses' seat. The Parushym, a sect of individuals. That's Parush means, it just means that Parushym means separated ones. By function means to scatter the flock. This is what they was doing. Hold on a second. They were scattering the flock. See? The Mashiach said he came for the lost sheep to gather them, but they scattered. They like wolves. Also known as Kadashim, which means loyal to Elohim or loved one. At one time, the Pharisees were. The Sadducees, we already know they ain't never been Israel. See, never. But we know that at one time the Pharisees was trying to do these things. Way back in the Apocrypha, they was like lions, but along the way they got corrupted. Now, and then you got to remember too, the other part of them after Herod killed 45 of the Sanhedrin, the 70 elders plus 1 or 2, I think it is. Once they did that, he added his own Edomite people in there. See? That's what he added, his own Edomite, Esau, Jewish folks in there. This is why they was fighting the Mashiach, because they couldn't understand him, because they already hated by Elohim, but they imposters. Also, which means loyal to Elohim. This was a brotherhood and at one time a sincere order until the power of greed corrupted them. Apocrypha. There are 2 doctrines that they stand on is called Takanat, which are reforms that change biblical instruction, and Ma'ashim, which are acts, words, or deeds, the works or deeds of the law that override Torah, law, instruction of Elohim. Okay? Matthew chapter 23. But until you understand this, then you're not going to understand what's going on. That's why we're doing a temple class, because we want to, once you go through these, this whole kingdom and Mishpah team, you go through the priesthood. Now, when you get to Paul's right, you're going to understand Paul. Now, when you see the Mashiach, when you watch the movie, he over here talking to them, he over there. Oh, I know where that's at. That's in the court of the women. Oh, I know where that's at. You see what I'm saying? Because the temple that was built at his time, there was none of these things in the other temple. But this is what Herod put together. See? Matthew chapter 23, 1-6. Then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but not ye after their works, for they say and do not. So he's saying, when they telling you about the Torah, because you got to understand something. These cats, when they was going to these schools, they knew that like Paul was under Gamaliel. Now, he went to his school, see, and for him to graduate that school, he had to be able to recite the first 5 books of Moses. So don't believe that. They trust and believe. They knew the Torah, but they also had their own books that superseded everything. So this is what he's trying to tell you. But he said, but do not ye after their works. Don't worry about the Torah, being the Talmud and the Mishnah. But in other words, when they teaching you out of the royal law, which you know, then you go with that. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne. See, they're not the commandments, not the Sabbath day. That ain't no heavy burden. It's supposed to be a delight. They was the one that was putting the burden on you and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves would not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge their borders of their garments. So, because they want you to see, you're supposed to have fringes on, but they want to have extra large fringes on. See, they want you to make sure when they come inside wherever they at. Oh, hey, pastor, they got hey, pastor. And love the uttermost room. See, we had the anniversaries and all this type of stuff. It's all here. At feasts and the chief seats in the synagogue and greetings in the market, see, and to be called men, rabbi, but be not ye called rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all you are brothers. That's why I just want y'all to call me brother Saul, or you call me elder Saul, because that's what I am. But you ain't got to never call me Moray. I don't need that in my life. Let's keep rolling. The girl was saying that, well, you a Moray. Nah, we gonna cut that off right now. Then Yahushua said to the crowds and to his disciples, the teachers of the law, scribes, and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, so you must be careful to do everything that they tell you, but do not what they do, the Tanakh reforms, the Takanat reforms, for they do not practice what they preach. What did he say? Why did he say this? Because they will teach you the instructions of Elohim, but they will add their traditions and deeds with works, something like the pastors of today, as we will show and prove. Now, the rabbis teach that no ordinary person can understand the scriptures. You need them to teach you, because they have the oral Torah that was taught to Moses during the 40 days he was in the mountain. And this wisdom was passed orally to them. And that the oral supersedes the written text. Only they can save you and lead you to salvation, not Yahuwah or the Mashiach. Them. And I've heard stories about when you try to go deal with them, they want you to strip naked, and this is a whole lot of weird stuff, man. These folks, it's a trip. Anyway, therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in the sight of Elohim. For by the law is a knowledge of sin. See, now look at that. So here it is, for by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in the sight of Elohim, but for by the law is a knowledge of sin. So he's telling you, it's right here. Now that we've been going through this, you should be able to see this is 2 different things he's talking about. The deeds of the law, the Takanat reforms, but then this law right here is going to give you the knowledge of sin. You just got done reading that too. See, now it should be starting to click, because there's certain words you got to look for. For sin shall no longer be your master, because you are not under the law, but you under grace. See, you ain't got to be under the Takanat reforms. You under the Mashiach. Then we just read he came full of what? Grace, right? Mercy and truth. See, it's not now. It's starting to get easier. It should be anyway. Sin is no longer your master because the Mashiach is here. Under the law means to use the law as a way to get salvation, as the Pharisees did. The law shows you what sin is, but it can't forgive sin. Okay? What shall we say then? Is the law sinful? Certainly not. Nevertheless, I would not have known what sin was had it not been for the law. For I would not have known what coveting really was if the law had not said, you shall not covet. Right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 23 and 37. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them, which are sent unto thee. Why were they sent to you? Because they're trying to tell you that you need to come back to the covenant, the testimony, the covenant, the royal covenant, the testimony of Yahuwah. How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathered her chickens under her wings, but you would not. That's why your house, behold, your house is left desolate unto you, period. See? So the gospel of Yahusha is the Father's will. Okay? Let's keep going. The problem in Romans 10, Paul quotes Moses in Deuteronomy 30. See, we've been reading this all morning to support his point that righteousness in life is through belief in Christ and in obedience to the law, the 10 Commandments. He does so in contrast to the law's message of the person who does the commandments shall live by them. Or he said in them, right? Because we know in means by or through them. See, if we look that word in up, we've done it so many times, right? But part of Moses' message is that if you obey the commands, you will live. See, so you got to do both. You need the Mashiach and you need to obey the commandments. It's just that simple. He abolished man-made ordinances. Now let's get to this, because they're going to hit you with this too. Don't misunderstand why I have come. I did not come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. No, I came to accomplish their purpose. I mean, I'm just giving this a new living translation of Matthew 5:17 through 18. See, that's what I came to accomplish their purpose. What's that? To put you back under this covenant so you ain't got to die. This death and the second death, blotting out the handwritten ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it and nailed it to the cross. Whoa, wait a minute now. How could you get around this, Saul? See, blotting out the handwritten ordinances. See, that was against us. See, that's that law. And he nailed it to the cross. Okay, let's see what they are. For by grace are you saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is the gift of Elohim, not works that anyone should boast. See, so by grace, by the Mashiach, are you saved by believing in him and doing what he's saying, and not of yourself. You can't, I mean, so what is he trying to say right here? Well, I believe this and I don't believe that. Okay, like, I'm good. I don't bother nobody. I try to help the poor. That's stuff that you're doing on your own. You can't do that. It's not going to help you. It is the gift. What gift? Yahushua HaMashiach of Elohim, not the works of the Pharisees that anyone should boast. Pharisees, pastors, self-righteousness. What is the gift? HaMashiach. What is faith? Obedience to the covenant. I'm trying to make this as easy as I possibly can. Now, this is why Paul says this, but be you doers of the word, Hokim and Mishpatim. So be you doers of the 10 Commandments, the Hokim and Mishpatim, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. See, not just hearers only. For if any be a hearer of the word, Hokim and Mish, and I should have said Hokim and Mish, and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in the glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forget what manner of man he was, because he don't know, because he needs something to show him what kind of man he is. But so whoever looketh into the perfect law of liberty, the 10 Commandments with the Hokim and Mishpatim, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. See, all this stuff is starting to get clearer and clearer to us. That's why I said it. You see what time it is in the morning. I don't care. Y'all woke me up again. I got to do. I got to get this off me. Now the Sabbath. Let's go to we can go to John chapter 5. Yeah, let's see something. Let me see which one I want to get, because I'm gonna show you how these Pharisees used to be tripping, man. They was tripping. I mean, they was like hating the Messiah so bad. Let me see, Matthew chapter. I'm gonna do 12 and 1. Let's see. Okay, let's do this one. Matthew chapter 12 and 1. Now you can go to John chapter 5, you can go to Mark chapter 2 through chapter 3, Acts chapter, all these up here. You can screenshot this and go look at this, right? And I had the corn up here because they had, you got one where the man was carrying his mat. And I'm gonna show you some of this stuff. And you got one where him and the disciples was in there walking through corn, plucking the corn with their fingers. What are you doing? What you doing carrying that mat? You know what I mean? You only supposed to be able to walk 1.2 steps of a mile before you break the Sabbath. See, this is the kind of stuff they were doing. At that time, Yahushua went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were hungry and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. But he said unto them, have you not read what David said when he was a hunger, and they that were with him, how he entered in the house of Elohim and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat? We just got done reading that, didn't it? We started this out. We just got done reading that the stranger cannot partake of the things of the priests. So how was David able to do that? David was Melchizedek. He was a king priest. That's why he had the tunic up. That's a whole nother lesson. But anyway, I'm just trying to show you something. See, and he wasn't even a Levite, but again, that's a whole nother story, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests. We just got done. That was the first board we hit. Or have you not read in the law how that on the Sabbath day the priests in the temple profaned the Sabbath, and I blame it? But I say unto you that in this place is one greater than the temple. But if ye had known what this meaneth, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is the sovereign of the Sabbath day. So he's telling them, look, man, I'm the one that gave this thing in the beginning. I'm the one that did this. How you gonna tell me what I can do with it? I ain't gonna break my own commandments. See? And when he's talking about the priests, I mean, what was they doing when we're gonna, and you're gonna have to come to the class when we get ready to do offerings, because some of this stuff had to be meat, had to be boiled, it was cooking, it was all kind of stuff, so they could eat that stuff. The peace offering, they was able to eat it at, and they were supposed to eat it at in a certain place. We just read that, but we can't get into that right now. And when he was departed thence, he went into their synagogue, and behold, there was a man which had a hand withered, and they asked him, saying, is it lawful to heal this on the Sabbath day? That they might accuse him. And he said, what man shall be among you that shall have one sheep? Now here he is now. He going back to the whole Keem and Mishpatim on. And if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold of it and lift it out? See, man, Mashiach was cold-blooded, boy. But he the one that gave this. See, and their hatred and their wickedness and them pushing Torah to the side and traditions could not let them see this. So y'all got to be careful with that. Don't get trapped up in these people's traditions, man. Dig this stuff out. When I'm telling you, go behind me and check. That's what's gonna free you, man. And sister, let me calm down. How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore is it lawful to do well on the Sabbath day? Then said he to the man, stretch forth your hand. And he stretched it forth, and it was restored whole like as to the other. Then the Pharisees went out and held a council against him, how they might destroy him. See, this was their problem. They was wicked. They was wicked. They were seeking a sign and, all these things. And like I say, I can't do all this right now because I got so much to get through. You know what I mean? But I'm just trying to show you, this is why they was battling, because their mind had switched over, even though they knew about the Torah, but they had got so engulfed with the traditions and their own Takanaks and their own Mishnah that it just took them away from this thing. And they was already evil because, and again, I'm gonna do the whole class on the Pharisees so y'all can really understand what they were ascetic people. You know, they was like really scrutinous. You know how you see these some of these shows where these people be beating themselves because of sin. They was like they mind was fixed like that. I must punish myself because I drunk water on the Sabbath. You know, all and they strip naked and start beating it. I mean, you know, this is the kind of mindset they had. So Hamashiach, the offering, the communal offering, that means for the whole congregation, whoever will, no matter what you look like, no matter where you're from, if you keep in the royal Torah, you straight for the whole nation of Israel and the stranger, the nations in John 3:16. For Elohim so world loved the world, right? You see that at all these games or whatever else y'all be doing. You see people on the side of the road with it. And when the stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised. So they had to do that. But we find that they was trying to torture the strangers with that. And so much so, and see that's and we're gonna see that too, because you had the apostle said, well, you know what, we'll just let them do this and that, and just tell them don't worry about this from right now. No, the Pharisees was right with that. They had to be this because this is the covenant that was dealt with Abraham. You couldn't even touch the Passover if you wasn't circumcised. So no, they was right about that. But see, that's what I'm saying. You got to watch out for these men in this book, because sometimes Paul, I've seen him do some stuff, and I mean these apostles, they sometimes they come up with their own stuff, trying to please men. No, you can't do that. It always has to be what the Father said. And then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. See? Boom, right there. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. So this ain't got nothing, that's for the Jews. No, if you want to get in the kingdom, you're gonna have to do what they're doing. See, you're gonna have to keep these commandments. I ain't talking about these Jewish people. I'm talking about folks that's keeping the commandments, walking in the whole kingdom and mishpatim. You got to do that. I don't care what you call yourself, because there ain't no other doctrine. Now, you can have your own doctrine, you can be in your own imagination, but that's going to bring you destruction. 6 days shalt thou do thy work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest. Thine ox and thine ass may be rest, and the son of thy handmaid and thy stranger may be refreshed. And this shall be a statute forever unto you, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall afflict your souls and do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth among you. Period. And Paul told you, who has the oracles, you got to come to the real children of Israel. You have to come, because what you've been, the Spirit is really giving us this. And you have to come to us. Otherwise, I'm telling you, you're going to be out there talking about Jesus and he loves me and I'm going to heaven and all this stuff. And I can eat whatever I want. Yeah, you finna die. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgment and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. But the stranger that dwell with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and that thou shalt love him as thyself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. So I can't be calling white folks crackers and all this type of stuff, man. For to love him like I love myself. Now, mixed multitude, Cambridge Bible for schools and colleges, right? This is where I got this from. A mixed multitude just means a great mixed multitude. Numbers 11 and 4, right? Non-Israelites. Not non-Jewish. That's a whole nother people. Again, you need to go up there. If you don't understand the difference between that, you need to go up there and watch the class time. And I did a couple of things on Esau and Edom. Now, and the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. See, this is what the mixed multitude, and the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? So they were just as bad as because they're humans. They wrapped in, they was born in iniquity, shaping it just like us, shaping in iniquity just like us. But the mixed multitude that was among them was lusting for that flesh. See? Now these things were our examples to the intent we should not lust after evil things also as they lusted. So Paul telling you in the wilderness, because that's what kept getting them in trouble. No different today. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. All right, the word heart is 2588, the soul or mind, and it is the fountain and seat of thoughts, passion, desires, appetites, affections, purposes, endeavors. So with the mind, man believes into righteousness, and with the mouth, confession is made to salvation. See, people that take that, well, see right here, see, I confess. No, but where your heart at? See, because if your heart was right, you would believe unto righteousness. We know what that means by now. For the scriptures says, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed, right? So we know the word righteousness, right, is divine law, baby. That's how you show you believe. You keep that royal law, those 10 commandments, and them whole king and mishpatim. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same sovereign over all is rich unto all that call upon him. So we know that the Greek is, that word is a proselyte, is G number 4334, it's a stranger or alien. So there's no difference. You got to come and do what he says. See? Now, there is a difference when it comes to what he said he gave the oracles to them, but what he's trying to show you here is that all men is born into, and all of us were shaped in iniquity. So we all have to do the same thing to come to him. This is not the Jews' law. See, the Jews got their own way of thinking and their own laws, and we're showing you that you can't do that. The Greeks, here they come in with Christianity and they own and they in their own imaginations, and we showing you can't do that either. You got to do it the way the book says do it. You got to do it the way that rules was given to you. You can't change the rules in the middle of the game. Yeah, y'all watch football. You see the ref, so play happening, and then don't nobody, they got cameras now and all this, but the ref used to go, when I was a shorty, he had to go to the rule book and look at the rule book and say the play stand or it don't stand, period. And they still go by the rule book. So you got to go by the Father's rule book. There's no, and he ain't changing his. They got all kind of new regulations in these sports and stuff like that, but the Father ain't changing nothing, period. He already sent you the buffer that you need, and he sent you the comforter to help guide you so you can learn how to do what he said you're going to do. Now it's up to you to do it. And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. Even they looking for it. So how do these people keep talking about this is the Jews' law? Oh, this is the Jews, that's the Jews' religion. That's a lie. Because here it is right here, these strangers or proselytes, man, the next Shabbat, they couldn't get in there, but they was there, they was outside. Look, we want that too. Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who speaking to them persuaded them to continue in grace of Elohim. And the next Sabbath came almost the whole city together to hear the word of Yahuwah Elohim. But when the Jews saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy. What Jews? See, that's another code word you got to remember. When it says certain men, or sometimes it's going to say the Jews, it's talking about these Pharisees. When they saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said it was necessary that the word Yahuwah should first have been spoken to you. See? Because even Mashiach was trying to talk to you Jews, you Pharisees, but seeing you put it from you and judge yourself unworthy of everlasting life, you don't want to hear it, you want to do it your own way. Look, lo. Then we turn to the Gentiles. I'm tired of fooling with y'all, man. You know what? Y'all want to do it the way you want to do it? You go ahead. We're going to go to these other people. When the congregation was dismissed, many of the Jews and devout converts to Israel followed Paul and Barnabas, who talked with them and urged them to continue in the grace of Elohim. Or what is the grace? HaMashiach. See, that's what they're telling them about. Look, man, you got to get on this Mashiach. I know they've been telling you that, that he's an imposter. No, this is what you got to have, because you already know how to keep the commandments. And when the congregation was dissolved, many it says Judo ye went after them. So it really should say Jews, or Yehudi went after them, and also the proselytes who worshipped Allah. And I got this out of the Peshitta, and they discouraged with and persuaded them to cleave to the grace of Allah. So we already know who the grace of Allah is. It's the Mashiach. See, but you got to understand that he's not telling you to cleave to mercy for what? He's telling you the grace we've been seeing that is the Mashiach. Cling to the grace, right? So when we look at this word here, it's the Hebrew word chen, right? And it just means safety, right? Which is the het, right? And life, out of the noon. See, faith, G number 3982, to listen, obey, yield, to comply, wit, to trust, have confidence. See, listen to obey, be confident. And this is, see what I'm saying? This is word 2580. See, the just shall live by being obedient, trusting Yahuwah, and be confident of his promises. So this is a whole nother, this is the Hebrew word for this word. G number 1515, peace, security, safety, prosperity, felicity, because peace and harmony make and keep things safe and prosperous. See, but this is it. This is the chen. That's the Mashiach. This represents grace, defense of life, safety and life. See, that's why they telling them, they persuading them in the grace, in the chen, which is the Mashiach. Let's keep rolling. Paul questions Peter. Matthew 18, 15 through 17. And Galatians 2, 11 through 18. All right, let's go look at this Galatians. Because this is what was happening. No, matter of fact, we're going to get Matthew 18 first. I ain't skipping none of this. We got another 30 minutes. I got to get Paul in here too. Anyway. 18, 15 through 17. Let me see something here. I'm gonna try this. Let me, I don't know. Let me just go to Galatians. That's a whole nother. I really need to read that whole chapter. And you can do that on your own. But I want to go to Galatians right now. And I want to look at something. All right. Here, man. All right, Galatians 2, 11 through 18. And the book says, did I do that wrong? No, I don't think I did. But okay, but when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to his face because he was to be blamed. For behold, that certain men, or remember I told you, watch out for that. Certain men showed up, certain came from James. He did eat with the Gentiles, but when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself. Why? Because we went back all on boards, you're gonna see, because remember what their rules were. You know, you can't be dealing with these goyim. You can't be dealing with these Gentiles. So, but he eating with them. See, but soon as they showed, the Pharisees showed up, like he like, oh man, now I got to get up. I can't sit with them, right? Fearing them which were of the circumcision. See, and the other Jews dissembled likewise with him. So the other ones, they seen him, they jumping up, running too. And so much that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. So Barnabas was with him, right? And guess what? Dissimulation, G number 5272, the acting of a stage player, right? Hypocrisy. That's what was happening. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, see, so you supposed to be following what Torah says, because Torah said we're supposed to be dealing with the stranger. See, this is what Paul is saying. I said unto Peter before them all, if thou being a Jew liveth after the manner of the Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou Gentiles to live as do the Jews? See, so if you living like according to Christ, That's what he's trying to say. In other words, I'm not sure about this translation, but that's what he's trying to say. And not do as the Pharisees. See, he's trying to show either you're gonna be a Pharisee or you're gonna be under this grace thing. You know, or you're gonna be under this mercy thing. That's what either you're gonna do one or the other. See, this is now let's keep going. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all, if thou being a Jew live after the manner of Gentiles and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews? Why you trying to put these folks up under the law? You say, okay, if you want to be up under the law of the Pharisees, why are you putting them up under the law of the Pharisees? That's why he says, well, now watch. This is how this come in. We who are Jews by nature and not sinners of the Gentiles, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahushua HaMashiach. Even we have believed in Yahushua HaMashiach that we might be justified by the faith of Christ and not by the works of the law, for by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. See, but they'll show you that they'll bring this, they'll put this on you right here, and then you'll never know what happened on top of that. So now you're like, wait a minute, that's how they do it. That's how they've been doing us. But when you read the whole thing, now it makes sense. And when you go through what we've been going through, now you understand. Okay? Go to Romans chapter 7. Man, this stuff is serious, man. I'm trying to bust this stuff up. Romans chapter 7, verse 4. Wherefore, my brethren, you also become dead to the law by the body of Christ, that you should be married to another, even to him who raised him from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto Elohim. For when we were in the flesh, the motions of sin, which were by the law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death. It was by what law? The law of sin and death. But now we are delivered from the law, that being dead when we were held, that we should serve in newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the letter of the Pharisees' Talmud. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Okay, is the 10 Commandments sin? See, you got to understand. That's why I'm doing this like this, because Paul, you got to understand, at this time, these people understood what he was saying. We've been so mixed up and so tricked up that it's like it's confusing, but it's not confusing once you understand what I'm trying to show you. That's why I'm showing you this way. And you might have to go through this a couple of times. But once you do, now you understand what he's saying. Why? Because I know that when he's saying there's a law of sin, I already know what he's talking about. Because the 10 Commandments and the whole kingdom team can't be sin. They show you what it is. We just read that. Elohim forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law, for I had not known lust, except the law said, thou shalt not covet. But sin, the law of sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of uncleanliness. Because that's what the law of sin does. You're going to eat what you want. You're going to lay up with who you want. You're going to cuss folk out. You're going to steal. You're going to bust folk across the head. You're going to cover somebody's car. I mean, all these things. Wrought in me all manner of uncleanliness, for without the law, sin was dead. See? But without the 10 Commandments, right? Sin was dead. See, there was no law. For I was alive without the law once, but when the commandment came, sin revived and I died. See, I was alive without the law once. See, I was living in the Talmud. I wasn't following what was given to Moses, not at all. It said, for I was alive without the law once, but when the commandment came, see, sin revived and I died. When the commandment came, now I could see my sin. See, it said, oh, now it's done revived. It done jumped up. Oh, that's what that is. I can't do that. See, for sin taking occasion by the commandment deceived me, and by it slew me. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good. See, wherefore the commandments and the whole kingdom mishpatim, they just and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? No. But sin, that it might appear sin, worketh death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. See, because now I can really see what I'm doing. I can really see it. No, it's exceedingly. I can't. I got to stop doing this. Father, help me with this, because I see it. I see it. I'm wrong. For we know that this law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. See, he sold it because that's why you was redeemed. You had to be bought back from Hasatan, basically. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do. Man, I mean, I can tell you some stories, man. I'm like, man, what am I doing? Why, Father, I can't stop this here. Man, let me tell you something. Cigarettes was like one of the worst. If then I do that which I do not, I consent to the law, that is good. Now then it is no more that I do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. So you fighting the law of sin or the iniquity that you was born in. This is what he's saying. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I find not. I'm still fighting myself. For the good that I would do, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Why? Because of the flesh, the law of sin. Now, if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find in the law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of Elohim after the inward man. That's what we trying to get. That's what we trying to get. That's this ruach. The inward man is what we trying to get together to fight off what we wrapped in. We wrapped in sin. We wrapped in his flesh. But I see another law in my members, in my flesh, warring against the law of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of death? I thank Elohim through Yahushua HaMashiach, our sovereign. So then with the mind, I myself serve the law of Elohim, but with the flesh, the law of sin. This is what he said. I mean, it's so simple now. So when Paul ain't talking against no law, stop letting these people trick you, man. Now, here's another one of their things, the Midrash Rabbah, the Perkei Avot. Fence up the Torah from all non-Jewish people. They said three things: be patient in the administration of justice, raise many disciples, and make a fence around the Torah. The Art Scroll says that the oral law, as taught to Moshe during his 40 days with Yahuwah Elohim. The Talmud, Mishnah, and the Haggadah given at Sinai. These are some of the books or some of the things they was dealing with, the tradition. Now, self-righteousness, Luke chapter 18, 10 through 14. Now, this is just a story. Let's go here. We might go over a little bit because I want to get to one more thing. Luke chapter 18, 10 through 14. Let me show you the difference between these two men here. Luke chapter 18, verse 10 through 14. Now it says the two men went into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee, the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus within himself: Elohim, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican I'm looking at, right? He right behind me. See? Because he's self-righteous. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican standing afar off would not lift up so much his eyes into the heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, Elohim, be merciful to me, a sinner. See, this man is full of his traditions and full of these other books. See, and evidently we see that he don't have no fruit of the spirit, right? And he's self-righteous. He in his own imaginations, he's right. But this man recognized that he's full of the law of sin. He said he called himself a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. See, for everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbled himself shall be exalted. It's just that simple. And you humble yourself by being obedient to the Father. Now, Romans 10:3, for they being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Yahuwah. See, ignorant. The G number 50, not to know, to understand, to err, or to sin through mistake. See, look at this brother here. He up in the church. He in here ain't nothing but straight idols up in here. I'm surprised they ain't got the IHS right there with Drake with the purple cloth. And ain't nothing but Nimrod. You understand what I'm saying? But he don't understand that because nobody's teaching him that. See? So he's just one of them. He's in error. But guess what? He's sincere because he's down on his knees. He probably got tears running down his face. See, he's sincere. He's not arrogant. See, righteousness is observing divine laws, keeping the commandments to establish, right? Going about to establish, to make firm or stand by. And they have not submitted themselves to subject oneself and obey. See, oh, look at all this stuff. This is the shield of the Rothschild around their neck. And they don't even have, and these some of the ones that they off into all kind of stuff, man. And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. But anyway, let's keep moving along. Now, my son, gather instruction from thy youth, right? Youth up, so thou shalt thou find wisdom till thine own age. That's the book of Sirach. See? So this is how most people, that's under grace. This is the path number one. What do? They on their own merits and they under grace. They do what they want to do until Sunday, but they still under grace. We haven't been taught right from our youth. Because see, nobody's been teaching us this from the very beginning. This is what we keep getting taught over and over by these Boule Masonry pastors, right? That work for the Jewish people that hate us. Now, the Ruach is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. See, so this is why they don't have no understanding, because the Ruach ain't gonna deal with them. Why? Because you must totally submit to Yahuwah by obedience to his will, his pleasures, which are his testimony. There is work and sacrifice involved that unfortunately most are not willing to do. See, because they got them strongholds up. Now, my son, if thou shalt be taught, and if thou will apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. Be willing to hear every godly discourse. Excuse me for 1 second, y'all. See, you got to be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. Because they're not parables to us that have the Spirit, and those of us that are following and trying to do the will of the Father. Because she's going to reveal them to us. They parables to those that don't want to be taught and apply their mind and be prudent. So they still, see, look at the question mark. He don't understand what's good. He's blind. So he's still walking on his own merits to grace. Let thy mind be upon the ordinance of Yahuwah, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thine own desire and thine own desires. This is how you get what you want. But see, again, this is one of the paths. Now, but whosoever looketh through the perfect law of liberty and continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves, right? So listen what he's doing. See, the Hamashiach in his righteousness and his testimonies, he's walking the straight path. The lawgiver, Hakak, or Hakim, decrees, right? Or Hak, the grace. See, so he getting grace by walking straight, following the Mashiach, doing what he said, being obedient, looking into the perfect law of liberty. For not the hearers of instructions, and the hearers of the instruction are just before Elohim, but the doers of the instruction shall be justified. So you got to do the instructions, not just hear them and say you under grace. Now, man-made decrees. Acts 17:7, Caesar gave decrees. Acts 21:25, apostle decrees, oral Torah over Torah, right? This is what the Pharisees are doing, the rabbis, Pharisees' interpretation of Torah. Stronger or superior to the word or Torah of Yahuwah, and under grace. All these different things right here, they're man-made decrees. There is no truth to this stuff. Nothing, no truth to it. Beware. Now, whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of Yahuwah. See? When you resist the ordinances, or you resist it, I mean, you resist the power, then you resisting his commandments. And they that resist shall receive themselves damnation. Paul told you this. See? So you have one ordinance here, which is G number 1296, dietage. Then when he says blotting out the handwriting ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross in Colossians 2 and 14, that's G number 1378. That's dogma. So these are two different ordinances that we're talking about here. See, that's why we got to use the tools that we use. Because man, just reading this stuff, you can't do it. You got to put some serious time in this. Numbers 15 and 15, statute, ordinance, limit, enactment, something prescribed, statute. Two different ordinances that we will very well see. Statute, ordinance, custom, appointed, manners, rights, law, right? Dogma. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. Now, ordinance is H number 22708, law in general, decree, curses, Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 25. You can read that on your own. An adversary. So this ordinance here, it ended up being an adversary to you because it was killing us, and it's still killing us. But dogma is a doctrine, decree, ordinance of public decrees of a Roman Senate of rulers, the rules and requirements of the law of Moses, carrying a suggestive of severity or threatening judgment. A certain decree of the apostle relative to the right living, because that's when they told him, well, you don't have to, this is all you have to do. You just have to, or like Moses, what did he say? Well, you know what? I'm so tired of y'all. If you know what, you just want to be with another woman, just go ahead and get you another wife. And we still got that problem today, what was quiet as kept, right? Or the apostles, well, just let them stay away from idols and strangled food and this, and don't worry about being circumcised. See, that's dogma. These are men things. This is what the Mashiach came to do away with. This is the ordinances that he did away, that he nailed to the cross. To be of opinion, thanks, oppose. This is what he did. Man-made decrees, right? That's what he did. So we see, as we see again, there is no difference. We all have fallen short and need the commandments of Yahweh to give us both Greek and Hebrew, right? We know and understand, right? Because this is for both of us, the Greeks, strangers, and the Hebrews. We know and understand the law can't save us, and we also know that grace can't either. But we obtain mercy by practicing, or we obtain grace by practicing the righteous acts of Yahuwah Elohim and using the prophets, for example, and being in or behind the fence of the Mashiach. So Romans chapter 5. Let's see now. Yeah, y'all can read that. I hate it. Man. This thing is going longer than I wanted it to go. I thought I was going to be through all this. Let me see. I sure want to get this to. I hate to leave any stone unturned. Let's see. Wow. Yeah. Because I want to see, he said, therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with Elohim through our sovereign Yahushua HaMashiach. So you being justified by obedience. that's what equals grace and give you and peace. See, you have peace with the Father because these curses ain't beating you upside your head. You got peace now. By whom also we have access by faith into his grace. See, where we stand and rejoice and hope in the glory of Elohim. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations, also knowing that tribulation. But I'm gonna have to get. This you'll see this again because I'm gonna bring this back up on the Shabbat. Though I am free of obligation to anyone, I make myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. The Jews, I became like a Jew to win the Jews. See, Paul was right. He right there with him to it. To those under the law, I became like one under the law. See, he's showing you the different type of people that's in this world, that he was becoming these things. So when you get to Corinthians, he said, well, just eat it, for then don't worry about it for conscience sake. I'm showing you this because see, that's what he was doing to win different people. because he inside of their temples, he all over the place. Now, if you see him pray over it to another Elohim, don't eat that. But if you don't know, and they just set it before you, if you can take it. In other words, if you can take it and your conscience ain't gonna bother you, then just go ahead and eat. That's what he was saying. So when we get to these scriptures, people say, well, see right here, Paul is saying this. That's Paul saying that. The one that esteems it unclean, to him it is unclean. And this is what you got to understand. We're gonna look at this some more on the Shabbat. To those under the law, I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, to win those under the law. To those without the law, I became like one without the law, though I am not outside the law of Elohim, but I am under the law of Christ. See, he's showing you what this is. See, under the law of Christ, guess what? What is that? In the New Testament, that's loving Elohim with all your mind, heart, and soul, all your being, which is going to give you the 10 commandments, them the first two. The next one is to love your neighbors as yourself. That got to do with don't covet, love your mother. You know what I'm saying? To win those without the law. To the weak, I am become weak, because they want to eat anything, because that's what he was talking about, the feeble. We're going to get to that. To win the weak, I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means, I might save some of them, because he know all of them, and some of them just going to be stuck in them strongholds. So the lawgiver, the hakak, decree, this is the path to their own merits, Torah only, under the law. For sin shall not be your master, because you are not under the law, but under grace. This is the Pharisees, but that no man is justified by the law in the sight of Elohim, it is evident. The just shall live by obedience to the 10 commandments. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by obedience without the deeds of the law, what the Pharisees are doing, right? Established means to stand firm, to keep intact, to escape. So that's what we're trying to do, escape from these other two ways of walking. The lawgiver, hakak, decree, chok. The word Yahuwah Elohim became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, from the Father, full of grace and truth. Matthew 23 and 23, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. Jeremiah 9, 23 through 24, loving kindness, justice, and righteousness. See, all these things, this is what you got to have instead of this. But again, now, people were amazed at his teachings, for he taught with real authority, quite unlike the teachers of the religious law. This is just another example. But they're going to say, well, and King James, they will say he has one who had authority. See, enmity against the Mashiach, right? These are their law, Midrash Rabban, Old Marish, Mishnah, Talmud, just 613, because people say, well, it's 613 laws. That's a Jewish thing. That has nothing to do with the Torah. Nothing. Torah under the law. I also consider all these things laws for the majesty of knowledge of Yeshua, the Messiah, my sovereign, him for whose sake I have lost everything and considered it all as dung, that I might gain the Mashiach. Okay, that's a Philippians 3, and I read it out of the Aramaic Bible, right? But now let's see what he's talking about. Okay, such things that they imagined and were deceived for their own wickedness have blinded them, no insight. As for the mysteries of Yahuwah, they knew them not, neither hope they for the wages of righteousness. What's that? The kingdom, nor discern the reward from blameless souls. For Elohim created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil, came death into the world, and they that do hold his side to find it. Hold on a minute, but this is what I want to see. I'm going to get to this right here. And and this is some other stuff that's in the Talmud. You know what? Do I want to do that? This right. This is Sabbath morning. Yeah, y'all gonna have to catch this next part. I'm gonna come back to this. I'm gonna come all the way back. Let's see where I was at. Yeah, we're gonna stop right here. I'm gonna come back to this right here. Because I want to, we're gonna come back to this, and there's gonna be another part to this, and I'm just gonna be up online, but I'm gonna stop right here because this is where I want to pick up with our congregation. But I want to just put that out there with you guys so far. And so far, you should be able to start looking at this. Go through this class a couple of times, man. Let's get it until you can get it. You know, and do your own research on it, and you'll find it. The Spirit gonna give it to you if you're sincere. For at the minute, it's gonna be coming just like you're reading when you was in school. Just run, spot, and run, that type of thing. So with that, I gotta say, God, Father, please watch over all of us. Keep us covered. Keep us covered with the blood of your Son. Father, shine your face on all that came up here and listened to this class and shared this early morning experience with me on the Shabbat. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate the support, and I hope that I'm helping somebody understand this stuff because I'm trying to do this thing, y'all. I'm really trying to give y'all everything that I possibly can and show you every angle that I can show you because it's about getting out here, winning these people. It's about giving ourselves totally to Yahuwah. And I mean, I'm still working on myself. I don't have all the answers, y'all, but I'm really trying to get this thing together, you know, and I just really want to see our people and all those other folks who love Yahuwah be able to come into this thing. That means a lot to me. I really want to see that happen. You know, anybody that knows me knows that, you know, they know how I feel about this Torah and they know how I love people. And I'm a people person and I like talking to people about this scripture all the time because I know what it is, y'all. It's a beautiful thing. So with that being said, thank you, Father, for all your blessings. Thank you for your kindness and your mercy. In Yahushua's name we pray. Hallelujah. All right, y'all. Shalom. We gone and we out.